Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Gopiyana Vallabha Shivaradari Gopijana Vallabha Shivaradari Yasodanandana Bhajadana Ranjana Yasodanandana Bhajadana Ranjana Yamunatera Vanachari Yamunatera Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottanam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jamudirayat Nastapesya Bhadresya Nityam Bhagavata Sevya Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiti. We are continuing reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 15. The Pandavas retire timely, text 13. Tatraiva me virharato buchadanda yukmam Gandhi Valakshanam Arati Vattaya Deva Chandrashitayat Anubhavitam Achamida Naham Atya Musita Purushena Bhumna Tatraiva me viharato buchadanda yukmam Gandhi Valaksanamarati Vidaya Deva Chandrashita yat anubhavitamachamida. Tena hamadhyamusita pusena bhumna. Tatraiva me viharato bhujadanda yukmam. Gandhi Balakshana Marati Vadaya Deva. Chandrashita yatanubhavitamachamida. Tenaham adyamusita pushena bhumna. Tatraiva me viharato bhujadanda yukmam. Gandha Balakshana Marati Vadaya Deva. Chandrashita yadanabhavitamachamida. Tena hamadyamusita pushena bhumna. Tathaiva me vyato bhujadanda yukmam. Gandhi Balakshana Marati Vadaya Deva. Chandrashita yadanabhavitamachamida. Tena hamadyamusita pushena bhumna. Word for word. Tatra, in that heavenly planet, Eva, certainly, me, myself, Virata, while staying as a guest, Bhujadanda Yuhmam, both of my arms, Gandiva, the bow named Gandiva, Lakshanam, mark, Arati, a demon named Nivata Kavacha, Vadaya, for killing, Deva, all the demigods, Shah, along with Indra, the heavenly king, Indra, Chita, taking shelter of, Yat, by whose, Anubhavitam, made it possible to be powerful, Ajamida, Aja, Ajamida, O descendant of King Ajamida, Tena, by him, Aham, myself, Adya, at the present moment, Moshita, bereft of Koshena, the personality, Bhumna, supreme. Translation and purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. When I stayed for some days as a guest in the heavenly planets, all the heavenly demigods, including King Indradev, took shelter of my arms, which were marked with the Gandiva bow, to kill the demon named Nivata Kavacha. O king, descendant of Ajamida, at the present moment I am bereft of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by whose influence I was so powerful. Purport. The heavenly demigods are certainly more intelligent, powerful, and beautiful, and yet they had to take help from Arjuna because of his Gandiva bow, which was empowered by the grace of Lord Sri Krishna. The Lord is all-powerful, and by his grace his pure devotee can be as powerful as he may desire, and there is no limit to it. And when the Lord withdraws his power from anyone, he is powerless by the will of the Lord. I read the verse once again. Tatraiva me viharato buchadanda yukhmam Gandiva lakshanam arati padaya deva Chandrashitaya tanubhavitamachamida Vinahamadhyamushita pushena bhumna. Translation. When I stayed for some days as a guest in the heavenly planets, all the heavenly demigods, including King Indradev, took shelter of my arms, which were marked with the Gandiva bow, to kill the demon named Nivataka Vacha. O king, the son of Ajamida, at the present moment, I am bereft of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by whose influence I was so powerful. Om Ajnana Timandachan Chinanjalan Shnaka Sakshavanetam Yena Tasmai Shigove Namah Chaitanyamanopistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svamrupakadamyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shiru Shiyuda Padkamlam Shirum Vaishnavamsha Shirupam Jagajatam Saganaragnatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savatam Parjana Saitam Krishna Stanya Deva Radha Krishna Padan Saganalita Shivshakam Vitam Shah Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandha Jatpate Kopesha Kopka Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishavani Sutdevi Pranamama Hari Priya Panka Kautabasha Kripa Sindhavesa Padmam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavyo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sat Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Srila Prabhupada Ki Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Vistaya Bhuttu Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurabhani Pracharya Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskataya Dasyatarani. Arjuna is remembering how Krishna empowered him in so many ways that Arjuna is also the son of King Indra, and he was invited by his father to kill a demon Nivataka Vacha in heaven. That of course that Iskandiva bow was empowered by Krishna, and by that he could do anything. So he remembered all these pastimes he had before Krishna and how he was empowered every time. That it means that all empowerment comes from Lord Krishna. We may have many talents, but they are not our talents. Talents given to us by Lord Krishna. That whatever we may do, it's by the empowerment of Krishna. It's Krishna's mercy. That so that's the vision of a devotee. He sees everything in his life as Krishna's mercy. Not only the empowerment, but certainly the empowerment. That and when I was reading them, yeah, of course, example of extraordinary empowerment. That Srila Prabhupada, in the 11 years, spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world as empowerment. Then we have Lord Ram and what was it? Parasaramuni, who killed 21. Parasuram killed 21 dynasties of kings who were thinking themselves, I'm the doer. But after Lord Ram was married to Sita, and he came back with the whole family and his father Dasarath from Mithila to Ayodhya. And on the way, there was a fierce wind, and suddenly Parasuram appeared before them. And Parasuram said to Lord Ram, you have broken this bow of Lord Shiva. That was a great offense. But I'll give you now the bow of Vishnu, and you try to handle that. But when Parasuram gave the bow of Vishnu to Lord Ram took away all his empowerment, and Parasuram became an ordinary human being. That although before he was a Shakti-avesa avatar. You see the same with Arjuna. When Krishna was there, like he got this chariot of Agnidev, that unconquerable chariot. But when the battle of Kurukshetra was over, Krishna said, yes, come from the chariot. And the chariot suddenly disintegrated practically. Because it was kept unconquerable by Krishna's will. But then after the battle of Kurukshetra, it vanished practically. But these are examples from extraordinary empowerment. But if we look in the Bhagavad Gita, there we have the 5th chapter, and there we have verse 8 and 9. It Naiva kinshit karomiti yuktamayeta tatvavit pasanshivans pishanshigan asnan gachan svapam pasan palapam vichinam hinam unmisam nimisamapi indriyachte su partanta itidaryan. Person in the divine consciousness, although engaged in in seeing and hearing and touching and smelling and eating, moving about, sleeping and breathing, always knows within himself that he actually does nothing at all. Because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, or opening or closing his eyes, he always knows that only the material senses are engaged with their objects and that he is aloof from them. So this verse says the spirit soul, we are not doing nothing at all. That we only desire. And the rest is done by material nature. Material senses are engaged with their object under control of material nature. And who controls material nature? Maya Dakshina. Maya Dakshina. Yeah, that's the verse. Maya Dakshina. I'm the superintendent of material nature. Maya Dakshina Prakriti. Sucharicha Characham. I'm the controller of material nature, of all what moves and not moves, Krishna says. So Krishna controls everything. So also in ordinary dealings is Krishna who is empowering. We are desire and then we do. We want our hand to move and our hand moves. But it's Krishna doing, as a super soul in our heart. So that's also mentioned in the seventh canto. Prahlad Maharaj gives this method how to become Krishna conscious in this universe by seeing how Krishna does everything through material nature. And that's the beginning of Krishna consciousness. The Bhagavatam explains how everything comes from Krishna, but then it's also Krishna who acts in material nature, and then to see acting material nature. That a devotee is very aware of that. Then he knows, yeah, it's up to Krishna to empower me or not. I'll try my best, and let's see what comes. That, of course, he has extraordinary empowerments of his pure devotees, as reciprocation with them. But we may not be on that platform, but nevertheless, we can adopt that method and try to see how Krishna empowers everything in this world. That empowers the animals, empowers human beings in so many ways. But for most people, this is too esoteric to understand. To understand that I'm not a body, they cannot understand. That it's so difficult. That is the ABC of Bhagavad Gita. We are not this body. But when we are not this body, 13th chapter explained, within the body there is the kshetra and the kshetragya. That the kshetra is the body and the kshetragya is the knower of the body. And there are two kshetragyas, the soul and the super soul. And it's the super soul who is the Anumanta, Upadrashta, that the permitter, the overseer in everything. That in the beginning we can see Krishna in this world by jnana sakshut, seeing through this knowledge. That seeing through this knowledge, you need really the knowledge which is given in the 13th chapter. That which experienced Kshetra, Kshetrajya, Jnanam, Jnanam, Prakriti, Purush. These are the 6 elements. And if one understands these 6, Krishna says, and knows how they interact with each other, one can liberate oneself from this material condition. So one who is advanced in this knowledge, he knows I'm only desiring. I'm not the doer, really. I'm also this doer, but by desiring. But there is a higher doer who empowers everything. And Krishna explains that his empowerment in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. He says there are the conditioned souls and the liberated souls. And then he says in the next verse, but I'm above the conditioned and the liberated souls. I'm controlling both. The conditioned soul is controlled by the material energy, and the liberated soul is controlled by the spiritual energy. But under the spiritual energy, we have much more freedom. That under the material energy, we have some freedom. But it's only the devotee who can execute that freedom. The non-devotee has practically no freedom at all, because it's identifying with the mind. And these 3 modes comes to the mind. And through the mind you get your karma, and they have to follow their karma. They get infused by the mode of passion, ignorance, and they must act as they are the body. They cannot go out of it. No way. But a devotee, by spiritual power, he does not identify with the body and the mind. And so it makes the difference between the kshetra and the kshetrajya. But the conditioned soul cannot do that. And therefore they have no freedom. They are forced to act according to the impulse of the mind. And if the mind goes out of control, then they are lost. The devotee's mind can also go out of control sometimes, but still he knows how to limit all the damage. We can say and a devotee, when he goes out of control, he knows he's in illusion. But those who are identifying with the mind and just following their feelings and so on, that completely under the control of material nature. But the devotees are empowered to engage the mind in Krishna conscious activities. And you need empowerment, spiritual power for that. Without spiritual power, we are nothing. But here Arjuna is remembering how Krishna empowered him. And we in our lives may also have done things we didn't think we should do or could do, and we still have done it by the empowerment of Krishna. So this is Krishna's reciprocation with his devotees, that he empowers them, that he empowers us when we act for the pleasure of Krishna, not for ourselves. We see materialistic people may also be empowered, and that the power is also coming from Krishna. But that's different. That because their empowerment leads to happiness and distress and so on. That's the result, the happiness and distress for the body. But a devotee is empowered, and by his empowerment, he's serving Krishna without attachment, and he makes spiritual advancement. And that is the fruit of bhakti, the spiritual advancement, closer and closer to developing a loving relationship with Krishna, or reviving our loving relationship with Krishna. And that but this bewilderment is very deep, and that we see that because Krishna in the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he says, now that it kayate kachit, it's in the 5th chapter. I'm having it on the screen. Yeah, a little further in the 5th chapter. Yeah, it's here. And in 14, in 514 is it, na kartit vam na karmani, lokasya chichaki prabhu, na karma phala samyogam svabhavas tu pavartate. The embodied spirit, master of the city of his body, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of action. All this is enacted by the modes of material nature, and the modes of material nature are under control of Krishna. Krishna empowers the modes of nature. Without his glance, the modes of nature, without his will, without his sanction, material nature can do nothing. But he said the embodied spirit, master of the city of this body, does not do things in material nature, does not create things, does not induce people to act, does not have results of its activities. That's done by material nature. So it's clear here, Krishna says, the living entity that is different from matter. And that's practically nothing to do with it. That because how is the soul connected with matter? It's not connected. But the soul has consciousness, and the consciousness is contaminated by the modes of nature. And that is the illusion, passion and ignorance. That's the illusion, and we have to get this passion and ignorance removed. Therefore, the Bhagavatam says, Tato chastamova kamalopsaya siterater anapitam stitva sattva prasiddhati. By performing devotional service, especially hearing the Bhagavatam, that the influence of the mode of passion and ignorance is removed from our consciousness. And that's the problem. That's the problem. That makes us think we are the doer. But material nature is empowered by Krishna, and Krishna is the doer. So if we take credit for something, then that is pride. Because it's false ego. It's not who we are doing. Prabhupada always said, all what happens is just the mercy of my spiritual master. He sent all these young boys and girls to help me in the mission. So he saw it's my spiritual master and Krishna who sends me all these things. That it's not my credit. Prabhupada also said in the purport in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, he writes that yes, that to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world, one cannot do if one is not empowered by Krishna. That he's speaking about himself here, is being empowered by Krishna. So Prabhupada knows he's empowered by Krishna. That he was reading his books, and then he said, who is reading his own books? It shows that I was not writing them. Krishna has wrote them to me. That so yes, that is empowerment. That we are also empowered. In ordinary living entities are also empowered. You eat, you digest. You have the digestive power. But who is doing it? Krishna says, I'm the power of digestion. He's doing it. That therefore, Prahlad Maharaj said, this is verse that says, yeah, a father cannot protect his son. A doctor, even with the best medicine, cannot protect the patient. That yeah, a person on a boat may be drowned. That it's all due to Krishna's will. And that so you may have the best medicine, but you may not be cured. That so the devotee knows Krishna empowers or does not empower. Therefore, the devotee always thinks, if Krishna is willing, if he wills, it will happen. If it's his desire, it will happen. Not, and that inner attitude is an inner attitude of humility. And humility, Prabhupada, well, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, 8:12, Amanitvam, that humility. Humility is the beginning of knowledge. Because if you are humble, then you can understand, I'm not a doer, it's Krishna doing this to material nature. And Arjuna is remembering all that. He felt oppressive, but now he's regaining his memory and he's remembering all of this. So, in other words, he becomes Krishna conscious again. Therefore, he comes out of the depression. If we are depressive, we are not Krishna conscious. We are disconnected. You have to connect again. That's important. And because if one understands this knowledge that Krishna is the doer of everything, that and that we, the spiritual, we are not doing anything factually, only desiring. But Krishna says also in Bhagavad Gita, Nada teka chit papam natseva sukritam vibhu, akhyana nafritam dhyanam ten miyantayantava. Krishna says, nor does the Supreme Lord assume anyone's sinful or pious activities. Embodied beings, however, are bewildered because the ignorance covers their real knowledge. So two things here. In the first part, Krishna says that I'm also not a doer. That because it's because of the living entity desire that material nature reacts. And I created a system, and it's working according to my empowerment. But the cause is with the living entity who desires to do pious or impious things. But it says that's all. That so the living entity desires and the reactions are there. And why is happening that? It's all happening due to their ignorance. That they identify themselves as the body, as, or they identify themselves as disconnected with Krishna. And if you are disconnected with Krishna, Maya is there and covers your intelligence. You cannot understand. And it is such a, it's because he said they are bewildered. They are just bewildered because the soul cannot suffer. I gave a lecture, and a week ago I was in the Delhi temple, that Punjabi Bach temple. And after the lecture, at the end of the lecture, a man came to me. He was an elder gentleman, and he said to me, why does Krishna allow suffering in the world? And I told him, you are not suffering. You are a spirit soul. Spirit soul cannot suffer. It's not possible. But the suffering comes to the mind. And due to ignorance, that most of us in ignorance, due to ignorance, you identify with the mind and you think it's your suffering. But the soul has no capacity to suffer. That, and I told him, you are only blaming Krishna for suffering, that out of ignorance. And the man seemed to be shocked that I said that. But it's a fact, but it's difficult to understand for people. That Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, in the 4th chapter, Arjuna says that Krishna says to Arjuna, you can understand this transcendental knowledge because you are anaga, sinless, you are my friend, you are my devotee, that therefore you can understand. But it means otherwise you cannot understand. If you don't follow the 4 relative principles, you can understand anything from this philosophy. You may think you understand something, but it will be on the surface. That so this is our situation. Any comments, questions?
The individual has influence or action through desiring, but that desire, depending on the maturity or immaturity, it's affected by the 3 modes. Is that true?
Yeah, so the question is, we are spirit soul with desires, but desires, pious or impious, yes, they are caused by material nature, that by the modes. The answer is yes. But you have 2 kinds of desire. And because it's without desire, desire is a very important energy for action of the spirit. So it connects, through desire we connect with the spiritual energy, or through desire we connect to the material energy. We connect to the material energy by material desire. And these material desires, they are coming up in the mind through material nature. We identify with them and we go. But then spiritual desire is different. Spiritual desire is to please Krishna's senses, to do everything for the pleasure of Krishna. And if we do that always, we get out of the jurisdiction of material nature. because we cannot conquer it. Krishna said, Mama Maya Durachya Mami Vayepa. Maya Vame Padvachante, Maya Metam Tarantite. Yeah, so this material nature is very difficult to overcome, but when I was surrendered unto me, can easily conquer it. Surrender means following Krishna's instructions and becoming his devotee. Devotee means acting for the pleasure of Krishna. Becoming a Mahatma, then you come. So within our heart, we must make that decision. What is the goal? We should have only one goal, pleasing Krishna. That's called Vyavsatmika Buddhi Ekana Koronana. If we don't have that one goal, Bausa Gvantasya, then we have many branched intelligence, Krishna says, many desires. And what is the result? Tayaparita Sejasam. It agitates the mind in so many ways. And you start to live in the world of Maya. The world of Maya, that in the world of Maya is the riding on the chariot of the mind. And there you go. But the devotee never listens to the mind. He uses the mind in Krishna's service. He knows when I listen to this mind, I'm on this chariot and of the three modes, and it brings me there and there. Yeah. But, does that help? But thank you very much. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.